An excerpt from HOLYLAND, Zapinette. From the inkwell of Albert Russo, An Evening in Jaffa. How would you like to spend an evening in old Jaffa with me? I could introduce you to a couple of artist friends who share a studio there, Mickey offered, looking at me, then at my uncle. Before we could say boo, his mother cut in. Are you talking about Shanty the punk and Mahmoud the conjurer? They're still living together? A strange pair they make, those two. Oh, Imma, Mum in Hebrew, Mickey responded, lifting his two arms in a gesture that expressed at once respect and determination, 'cause this guy had incredibly good manners for a soldier. This is the 21st century, and furthermore, they both are very talented in their speciality. Yes, indeed, answered Yolani, with an exaggerated squint. The girl is full of sophisticated piercings, one dangling from her nostril almost reaching her mouth, another one hanging from her chin, which made her look like some kind of Hindu goddess. And if that wasn't enough, she has two of them stuck at the tip of her tongue and high up on her ears. Where else? I don't dare ask. As for Wahala Mahmoud, apart from pulling Prozac rabbits from his hat, he paints the weirdest faces. No, not like Picasso or Van Gogh. Did he have his limbs in the right place with a name like that? All dismembered and squashed. Ooh, they're figurative, all right. He tattoos their foreheads and cheeks with bleeding stars of David and Islamic crescents. And if you look closely enough, you realize they're fighting. Yes, fighting. You heard me right. I wonder if those two, even if she is a goth-like renegade Jewess, and he a non-practicing fatwa'd Muslim, that's what he claims to be. A fatwa is the punishment meted out by them bearded mullahs to Muslims who don't pray 5 times a day and act like us infidels, aren't plotting a terror attack together. Emma, what are you saying? Countered Mickey. If that was their intention, they would have done it during the Second Intifada years ago. For you politically illiterate ninnies, Intifada means Palestinian uprising against the Israeli army. But the more I learn about the ongoing feud between these two peoples living in this tiny area, the more I start sweating, 'cause everybody you speak to over here believes there will never be any peace, on account that both sides maintain that the other one is dead wrong. There must be a Yasser bin Mandela and a Solomon ben Gandhi somewhere in the neighborhood. Leave your hiding place, you two, and do your friggin' job for Christ's sake. Yeah, I'm also talking to you, Jesus. Get a move on, for crying out loud. Where have you been all this time? As for you, God the Father Christmas, I'm sure you've been messing around with all them pagan goddesses instead of looking after your people. So why the hell did you choose them? Force these two peaceniks to do their coming out, lest the place falls to pieces and gets riddled with holes like that stinking Swiss cheese you forgot in the pantry last year. This can't go on indefinitely. The Palestinians claim that the Jews stole their land, which is half-lie, since much of it was bought from private Arab folks, and many others were expelled, while the Israelis claim that the land has been lived in by Jews since the days of the Bible, which is half a truth, 'cause there were just a few stray Jewish cats during all those centuries, and perhaps a couple of dogs, too, and that Jerusalem, with its first and second temples, in ruin. You just have to see how often Jews wail in front of that western wall, on whose mount the Muslims built their beautiful, magnificent, golden mosque, is the center of Judaism, proven by them Dead Sea Scrolls, which were rescupsitated 60 years ago by a poor Bedouin, whereas it is only Islam's third or fourth holy site. Jeanette, how many holy sites do they have around the world? Is that why the Sinai hate the Shia and vice versa and bomb each other's mosques? Holy shit, is what I say. Mickey took us to a coffee shop in old Java called Napoleon. Maybe he wanted to honor us, since we live in France. Old Napo freed the Jews of Europe from their ghettos, giving them the same rights the Christians had after 2,000 years of Jew bashing. When Jesus, Jeanette, Jacko, the brother, the virgin, laugh out loud, laugh out loud, laugh out loud. Mary and her hubby Joey were all kosherized Jews. And he even tried to conquer Palestine. To mislead his enemies, Napoleon dressed like an Arab sheik and wore a turban. Then when he came near them, he shouted, "In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful," and so forth and ding-dong. But the Mamluks, they were an army of slaves who had their own generals, weren't fools, and they stopped him before he could reach Jerusalem. He lost that war, and thousands of French soldiers with it. But before that, he had the time to visit Jaffa, Gaza, and Haifa. No, not as a tourist, you nitwit. You think I'm talking bunk. Open your history books, damn it. My uncle tells me that I'll get a fatwa if I keep saying, damn this and damn that, on account that there are Islamists spying on some street corners, especially in Jerusalem. What's friggin' freedom of expression for, damn it, I'll cuss as much as I want, and no shadored Mamluk. Them bozos who adore their slaved women to be cloaked head to toe, hairdom with spaghetti hair, or pigvangelists who seem to be born with a mic hooked to their tongue, will stop me. My ancestors haven't invented the French Revolution for the dogs, because if that were the case, we would be ruled by French poodles, chihuahuas, and Dober mistresses. So here we were at the Café Ol Jaffa, me clutched between sexy Miki and dreamy Yunky Burky, sitting opposite Shanti and Mahmoud, the two Dragabushkins we were told about earlier, because she, apart from all stalactites dangling from her skinny tips like she was a walking altar, had cheeks dabbed with Torero red so glaring that you needed sunglasses, while her Palestinian boyfriend had circles of purple dayglow around his eyes and a zillion little sequins dotting his face and his fluffed up hair, as if he'd just come out of a jacuzzi bath full of mercury, or, since I'm supposed to be a poetess too, as if he'd fallen off the star-spangled firmament. I don't know whether it was the sight of these two which made my uncle look so stoned, or whether he was fantasizing about himself, a maverick, with the hope of joining them in a freak triangle. I was getting a little worried for him. To be sure, he got down back to reality. I pinched his left buttock. He squealed with a very piggish sound, so I was relieved. "Oh, what a lovely voice you have," said Mahmoud, whistling in appreciation. And he blinked like a daft puppet. "I wouldn't be surprised if you sang professionally, or that you were part of a choir. Could you give us a taste of your talent?" Jeanette, what next? A gap-toothed shanty who added on cue in broken, very broken French. "Oui, oui, nous voilà, toi, shanty." "Indeed," Mickey chimed in. "How about a Jacques Brel song, like Ne me quitte pas?" Where had I landed? Amid a bunch of screwballs, including now our hunk of a host. Or were these people typical of this country once they left the army, even just for the weekend? Because I learned that Shanti too had served a couple of years as a soldieress, under much duress. As for grinning Mahmoud, being an Arab citizen, he was not allowed to join the Israeli army on account that he might spy for the enemy and give strategic clues to the terrorists. Whoa, shh, I whooshed. That's what I do when I get flummoxed and can't find my words, but it proves quite efficient, because people stare back at me open-mouthed, then totally flabbergasted, like they were the ones who did something wrong. Now let's not get excited. I was finally able to utter, "My uncle doesn't know how to sing at all. If Jacques Brel ever heard him so much as try to imitate him, he would rescupcitate from his Polynesian grave, bones and all, and smack Unky Berkey on his friggin' head." Yeah, I know it's not my uncle's fault, but better warn everybody at the same time if you don't want to have leaks. The pair in front of us looked at me like I was the crazy one. Not they. Well, I never, so saith Shakem Pears, and you should have seen Bonka's expression. He looked like I had flogged him the way the Iranian maulers punish teenaged transgressors. Under that Mamluk regime, young girls get flogged if they're found wearing jeans under their mosquito net cassocks. The poor dudesses. And of course, in this case, I feel like twisting my uncle's nose and both his ears, because he loves to show strangers what an underdog he is, especially after he gets scolded. By me, who else? Then, to win back my affection, he gives me that slavish Labrador look, which almost breaks my heart, driveling nincompoop that he is. To break that poofy atmosphere, I turned towards Mickey and asked him if we could go to one of them trendy nightclubs mentioned in Time Out magazine after dinner. "Of course, Zappy," answered the sweetie pie. I felt like squeezing his cute little chin and smooch him on the cheek, but I didn't want to pass for a clot. "I'll take you to the best one, where we might come across some famous people from this country, and even some from abroad. The bouncer looks like an enraged gorilla, but don't worry. He's a buddy and always lets me in, along with my guests, even those he's never seen before." Our pair of freaky chums started to clap their hands, all the while my uncle was shifting his backside on his chair and making squeaky noises on account that he wanted to intervene. He gave an unwanted fart, immediately followed by a boorish roar, which is totally unexpected from such a delicate and pussy-mousy guy. But I knew what it meant. "Ahem, grr," he insisted, half barking, so that the audience paid attention. "Isn't Zappy too young for such a place? She's not even 13, you know." I cast him such a dirty look that he had to turn his gaze above my head, like he was suddenly staring at a bloomin' fly. "The lassie is as tall as I am. No one will see the age difference, especially inside the nightclub where the lights are dimmed," said Shanty with a funny smile. Was she jealous of me, the midget, or was it a compliment? I still can't figure it out. "Don't you worry, Bonk," said Mickey reassuringly. I repressed a laugh, because it was the first time I heard someone call him that, and it rhymed with donkey, which served him right. Because we're quite open-minded in this city, you know, and in any case, people behave where I'm taking you. It's pretty kosher. Zoopy will be like a fish in the sea there. "Hey, Mookie Nookie Tushy yourself," I retorted, trying to squint and blink at the same time. "You do have a problem with names in this country," I grumbled hoarsely like a school principal who'd had too many cocktails, addressing all and sundry around the table. "Either you call me Esmeralda, as it is written on my passport, or Esme. Zapinette, too, if you insist, or Zappy. But no other donkey names, okay?" Mahmoud started to giggle and to shake like a bloomin' camel that's found a water hole in an oasis, having trotted 10 days in the desert. And soon everybody guffawed, including Bonka. After telling myself that I shouldn't be a killjoy, I joined in the most stupid laughter this side of the Negev. Gisette, what baboons we are. In order to make me pass for a young adult, Shanty applied some of her own makeup on my face. The moment I saw myself in the compact mirror she lent me, I almost jumped out of my skin, on account that I looked like a ventriloquist's puppet, or worse, like Nina Hagen's baby sister, a real witch, with all that mascara, the layers of rouge on the cheeks, and the black lines surrounding my eyes. My mum would have had a heart attack seeing me like this, but lo and behold, my Israeli buddies thought I was a stunner. Unky Berkey looked stunned all right, only in this case, I was afraid he would swallow his tongue forever, 'cause he could barely recognize his darling little niece. So as to avoid that such an accident should occur, I asked Mickey to order a triple gin and tonic for my uncle, whether he liked it or not. I know how to put my foot down in situations of emergency. I won't tell you about my experience at the nightclub, except that both my uncle and I came out of it completely deaf and bleary-eyed. How can people enjoy all them decibels for so many hours? I hate techno music. Oh yeah, I hate it with all my guts. And I don't care if that's what my generation goes for. It's the kind of noise that can give an elephant instant diarrhea, let alone make its tiny eyes pop out of their socks and turn its jumbo ears into two overgrown lettuces that have suddenly become all withered and floppy on account of an unexpected heat wave, which here they call Hamsin. Hey, did you notice something about this word? Do I have to remind you that Jews and Muslims consider that to eat ham is a sin, and therefore God punishes the would-be offenders with a hellish wind that blows from the Sahara, which then hops over Egypt and the Sinai before it finally hits these parts. Like I said before, in these here biblical lands, there are so many do's and don'ts that you are either a sinner even before you were born, the worst four-letter word being S-I-N-S. Yes, in plural, on account of all the situations of your afterlife. In case you are Christian, that can start in limbo if you die without being baptized. Then comes purgatory if your sins on earth weren't so serious, like throwing a stray cat in a dustbin without killing it, like that English mum who mistook a flea-bitten pussy for some dirty plush toy. And then comes the devil's make-hair kingdom, which all the fanatics on this planet promise you will go to on account of all them do's and don'ts, which you pretend you keep confusing.